Hey guys, how are you today? Quick rant before we dive into today's chaos. As some of you might have noticed, YouTube's algorithm has decided I'm not special anymore. Shocking, I know. So now if you don't like, comment, or do a little backflip in the algorithm's honor, this video might just vanish into the void, never to be seen again. Seriously though, even a hi or "this is wild" in the comments helps way more than you think. It tells YouTube, hey, people actually like this channel. Maybe don't hide it from everyone. That can really help push my videos out to a wider audience, not just to my subscribers. So if you enjoy these stories and want to support the channel, that's the best way to do it. Now grab a drink, get comfy, and enjoy the drama. You won't want to miss this one. So this is pretty sensitive, and I'm in a bit of a hurry, so please ignore any mistakes I make. This is about my ex-husband, my family and me, of course. Kevin, my ex-husband, 27 male, and I, 27 female, got divorced 3 years ago. He and I had met in college, got married right after graduation, and ended things just after 1.5 years of marriage. But my parents loved him and immediately assumed that I must have screwed things up. And in fact, just saying that they loved him would be an understatement. They were probably in love with him, and they treated him like their own son. Actually, even better than how they treated my brothers. They loved him and stayed in touch with him even after we got divorced. I'm the oldest of 3 siblings. I have a younger sister, 22 female, and brother, 20 male, and all of them cut me off right after I filed for a divorce because they wanted me to sit back and work things out with Kevin. But I was not willing to give him a chance. I had my reasons too. Even though I was pregnant, I wanted a divorce because I had found out that he had been cheating on me with one of our mutual friends from college. But he and his parents had said that since I was in my 2nd trimester when I found out, I should probably try to sort things out with him, go for counseling, and fix our marriage. I didn't care about any of that though, and I knew that my parents were not going to be happy. But I still went ahead and filed for a divorce, because for me, my dignity was more important than anything else. Of course, it hurt a lot that all of them cut me off without a second thought, even my siblings. But that couldn't be helped. For the past 3 years after my baby was born, I have had pretty much no contact with Kevin or anybody else from the family. But all of them do get together every now and then, and my friends tell me about it. They are the only support system I have had, and apart from a child support check every month, I don't receive anything. No messages, no calls, nothing. It used to hurt earlier, but now I'm used to it. I remember for a fact that when I had told my family that I was filing for a divorce from Kevin, and I had even explained to them the reason I was doing so, they had tried to get me to stop. And when I had refused to listen, my parents had told me that they were going to cut me off. They had assumed that Kevin must not have cheated, and that it all must have been my fault somehow. And I must be overreacting because they believed that I was crazy, and they made my siblings cut me off too, because they did not want them exposed to a lost cause like me. I'm adding all this so that people know exactly how I was treated. Anyway, all that was in the past, and slowly I learned to live without them. And thankfully I had my daughter, my job, and my friends. So I got by just fine. And now, 3 years later, they have finally reached back out to me because they have found out how nasty Kevin actually is. It came as a surprise to me as well, but I'm guessing it must be worse for them because they have kept in touch with him all these years. And recently, he was all over the local news because of a really horrible and nasty incident. I don't want to get into it too much, but basically, he's in trouble because he tried to corner one of the interns who works in his office and made unwanted advances toward her. Apparently, it had been going on for almost 2 months, and he had been creeping her out. So she decided to record this particular incident, and then she reported him to the cops directly. I've seen bits and pieces of the footage, and it's really bad, and it disgusts me that I had anything to do with this man in the past. The cherry on top is that this girl, the intern, is literally just 18. It's all really disturbing, and for the past few days I've been receiving messages of consolation from pretty much everyone I know, which is odd because I don't have anything to do with him, but I do appreciate the concern. The weirdest thing that has happened, though, is that a couple of days ago, right after the news broke, my parents and my siblings called me up crying, asking me for forgiveness, telling me that they had no idea that this was the kind of person that Kevin was. They started apologizing, told me that they had made a huge mistake and they wanted me to forgive them and wanted me to fix things with them. But I just heard them out, told them that there was no chance of this happening ever. And then I hung up. I mentioned this to a cousin and he told me that apparently they are being shamed by the entire family. Everyone is calling them out for abandoning me back when I needed them. And earlier, while things have been strained between my family and the rest of my relatives, people have now started cutting them off. I don't know why I feel partially responsible for that. And I feel like maybe I should sort things out with them, because I don't know if I will ever get an opportunity like this again. Although on the other hand, I don't think it should have taken something like this for them to reach out to me and apologize because, after all, Kevin is not their family. But I am. I'm just very confused. So, am I an a-hole for refusing to forgive my family because they cut me off while I was getting divorced from my husband? OP is absolutely not the bad guy here. OP's family didn't just make a mistake. They made a choice, and they made it over and over again. They chose OP's cheating husband over their own pregnant daughter. They chose to call OP crazy and a lost cause. They chose to cut her off and stay loyal to a man who betrayed her. Now that he's finally shown the world who he really is, they're scrambling because they're embarrassed. That's on them. They're not entitled to OP's forgiveness just because their golden boy finally crashed and burned. And now let's hear community's opinion. Your parents and siblings don't want reconciliation. They want reputation repair. That's the only reason they're suddenly emotional and apologetic. If this scandal never happened, they'd still be happily chatting with him and pretending you didn't exist. They're not sorry about how they treated you. They're sorry the consequences finally caught up to them in public. They let you go through pregnancy, heartbreak, and single motherhood alone. They don't get to rewrite history now. Please don't fall for the "your daughter deserves grandparents" guilt trip. Where were these loving grandparents for the last 3 years? They abandoned both of you when you needed support the most. Your daughter has you, her nanny, and a stable home. She doesn't need people who only remember she exists when it helps them save face. Kids don't benefit from being around adults who showed so clearly that they're conditional and selfish. Honestly, you owe them nothing. Not forgiveness, not contact, not closure. They turned their backs on you when it mattered most, and only came crawling back when it became socially inconvenient to keep siding with Kevin. Let them live with the consequences of their loyalty to the wrong person. You built a life without them, and you're doing fine. They're asking for access to you now because they want comfort, not because they genuinely want to repair anything. Update 1. Hey, thank you so much for all the supportive comments and for reassuring me that I'm not the bad guy here. I had almost started to question myself because I was feeling really bad, but I think that has more to do with the state of things right now, rather than me wanting to genuinely forgive them for everything that happened. The past few days have been very confusing and mentally draining for me, because even though I don't have anything to do with Kevin right now, I know for a fact that we were together for a very long time. And no matter how much I want to, I can't change that. I literally have a daughter with him, and I don't know why, but it's just very disturbing to think that if I had never found out about his affair, we would have still been together. In fact, I don't even know how many other women he has cheated on me with, how many women he has made uncomfortable and creeped out. Even right now, lots of new information is coming out about him. Lots of women are posting about him, and it's just been very stressful for me. I have been contacted several times by the local news for my comments, and random people have been reaching out to me either to tell me that I'm strong or to tell me that I'm a horrible person. I don't know why, and I've never been to any of this before, so naturally I've been feeling quite stressed out. I think that's why I started rethinking everything that I have done, but I know for a fact that none of this is my fault. I couldn't have possibly known what kind of a person he really was, and if I had, I never would have gotten together with him. But anyway, thank you so much to everybody who commented. It really means a lot to me, especially right now because things have been very tense in my life for the past couple of days. It's just really frustrating because I don't understand how I am answerable for my ex-husband's choices. We haven't been together for the past 3 years. I haven't even spoken to him, and yet somehow, people have gotten it into their heads that I need to be spoken to about this. My sympathies go out to everyone who has had to face any sort of creepy behavior from his end. But I'm not responsible for that. Neither do I want to speak about him to anybody else, nor do I want to hear about him, because that was a very traumatic period of my life, and I just want to forget about it and move on. I don't think I'm a bad person for wanting that. And even if I am, I don't care. Update 2. Hi everyone. So, it's been over a week since my parents last tried to contact me. And after that, I blocked them. I had blocked them earlier as well, but they had used a new number to contact me. This time, they decided to reach out to me by sending me an email, and they sent it to my work address no less, because they know that I check that more frequently. It was the same. They did not know. They wouldn't have behaved this way if they knew. They want to talk to me. They want me to forgive them. Blah, blah, blah. In this one, they even said that if not for them, then at least I should think about the fact that my daughter deserves to have her grandparents in her life, which was mildly infuriating because she's 3 now, and she hasn't known them so far, and she seems to be just fine. I don't think it's a necessity that she can't deal without. I think she'll be fine without them since they never cared about her before this. And honestly, all the emotional, sentimental drama that they put across in the email really did not make a difference to me. It actually just really irritated me, to be honest, because every time I think about it, it just reminds me of the fact that something so horrible had to happen for my own family to realize that they should probably be on my side here and not on his. I don't understand. Even back then when I was getting divorced, they should have supported me. No questions asked. Right now they say we're family, but back then that was not the case. They shouldn't have felt the need to wait for something so bad to happen to reach out to me. They knew for a fact that he had been cheating on me while I was pregnant with his baby. And how is that not enough for them to take my side on this? All of them wanted me to forgive him and keep pretending everything was fine. It really wasn't. And when I refused to play by their rules, I suddenly became the bad guy, and I was a lost cause, and nobody bothered to check up on me for the next 3 years until now. So, yeah, I think they should stick to siding with Kevin. Let's see where that takes them now. Because, truth be told, I have no intention of forgiving them at any point in time. They really hurt me. They broke me irreversibly, and that cannot be taken back. I left Kevin no matter how much I loved him, because I knew that what he had done could not be fixed. And now it's the same with my family as well. They can send me all the emails they want, but it's not going to make any difference. I have made up my mind. Update 3. Hey, so it's been 3 weeks since my last update, and after that email, I blocked them. But that did not deter them. They just kept on creating new accounts, sending me emails, apologizing, and it was the same drill over and over again. At one point, I got really frustrated, and I thought that I would just contact them, and I would let them know that this was not going to work. But then that would be playing into their hands, talking to them and communicating with them. Isn't that exactly what they wanted? So I decided against it, and this continued for a couple of days. Almost 2 weeks, but since last week I haven't heard from them. I thought that this was over, but now it's my siblings who are going out of their way to get in touch with me. I can totally understand why they are so desperate to have my forgiveness, because they want to show everyone that I have forgiven them, and always fine in our family, because they don't want to be portrayed as villains anymore. I think I had mentioned earlier that the entire family is against them at the moment. Nobody wants to talk to them, and they have pretty much been cut off by everyone, and I don't think that they are enjoying that very much. They had already started being disliked by people when they did not feel the need to be kind to me while I was going through the divorce. But even then, at least, the family had kept in touch with them out of a sense of obligation. Now all that is out of the window, and they have been ostracized by everyone because of how they have treated me in the past. I just think that they are just having to face the consequences of their own actions. But I'm guessing they can't handle it. Anyway, my siblings reached out to me. They sent me a text from a new number saying that they were really sorry about everything that had happened, but I had to know that they really had not intended for me to be cut off from the family like this. Apparently, according to what they are claiming in the text, they had fought really hard against our parents, but there was no point because they had been very strict about what they wanted, and they did not think that they could fight against our parents because back then both of them were financially reliant on them, and my brother actually still is. They claimed that they were very young, so they really did not have a choice but to do as our parents asked. So, if not them, at least I should consider forgiving my siblings because they really did not have any other options. At least that's what they believe. But I don't agree with that. I honestly think that they could have fought harder for me, because I remember that growing up since I was the oldest, I was always on their side. Whether I got along with my parents or not, I always got along well with them, and I thought that they loved me. So, it came as a huge shock to me when during the divorce they decided to side with my parents instead of with me. And the fact that they were financially dependent on them doesn't really mean much to me. It might make me sound petty, but I don't really care, because if they really wanted to talk to me, comfort me, they could have contacted me later when things had died down a little. But for 3 years, they did not bother to reach out to me. And it's not like our parents would have found out. They are not any sort of tech geniuses. My siblings could have easily hidden it from them and spoken to me. It was a choice, a conscious choice that they made not to do any of this. And now they want to pretend like they were with me all along, but just couldn't show it to me because of our parents. I call BS on that. I think they just want to be seen as the good guys now, just like our parents. So, there's no real difference between all of them. Anyway, they did reach out to me recently, and I did not respond. I didn't have anything to say to them, to be very honest. What could I possibly say after 3 years? It's not that I have not imagined this in my head. I have, and always I have had some very nasty things to say to them. But now since things have materialized, I don't feel like responding to them or engaging with them at all, because I know there's no point in what I have been through for the past 3 years, and during the divorce, nobody else knows, because nobody else bothered to find out. And especially regarding my siblings, it hurt a lot, even more than when my parents disowned me. And that apology is coming a little too late for me, and it's too little for me to actually forgive them. It's too little for me to even consider forgiving them and letting everything go. I don't think I can do so. Not right now. Besides, I've already gotten used to life without these people, and I don't want to go back to who I used to be before. I don't think I can, realistically speaking, because I've been through everything by myself with emotional support, only from my friends and nobody else. So now I think it'll be impossible for me to be the same person that they used to know earlier. I'm not that person anymore, and that's why I can't forgive them. Any of them, to be honest. Not just my siblings. It hurts, but that's how it is. Update 4. Hi. So it's been a couple of days since my last update when my siblings reached out to me. I did not respond to them. And after that, nobody else texted me or reached out to me for a couple of days. I've been trying to get my life back on track since my mental health for the past couple of weeks, ever since Kevin made the news, has been pretty derailed. I was feeling very uncomfortable all the time, but then a couple of days back, I made this active decision to not think about these things, because what does it even have to do with me? So, with that in mind, I decided to start planning a trip. But of course, my parents reached out to me just as I had made up my mind to go. They sent me another email, and this time I learned some new information. Now everything makes even more sense because apparently my sister is engaged. She has been with her boyfriend for the past 2 years. They've been going strong, and he recently proposed. They were about to announce it on social media, but then the news about Kevin came out, and well, that went for a toss. In fact, since her fiancé's family knows that my family was in touch with Kevin, they were skeptical about even going ahead with the wedding. But thankfully my sister's fiancé loved her enough to convince his parents otherwise. So they are definitely getting married. The problem is that because the entire family has turned against my parents and siblings, they are in a bit of a tough spot, because if they don't fix things quickly, nobody might end up showing up for the event. They had even planned on throwing an engagement party next month. But even that is being questioned right now because, like I said, nobody from the family wants to talk to them. And the only way to fix this would be to show people that I have forgiven them. And who knows, maybe people might follow my lead and start talking to them again. Because, after all, what most people are upset about is how my family had abandoned me when I had needed them the most. They have a fair point. I definitely can solve this problem for them. Or at least I can try to, because I know that if I say it, my relatives might consider getting back in touch with my family. They will be cold, but at least there will be some sort of contact, and they won't completely ostracize my family like they have been doing so far. But that's only if I say something to indicate that I have decided to forgive my parents and siblings, and I am trying to prepare my relationship with them, which I'm not actually trying to do. So I don't feel the need to lie about it either, not even for the sake of her wedding or her happiness. I think right now my own mental health is more important to me. In the past few weeks, everything has been pretty bad for me, and I don't think that interacting with my family is going to make things better. It's just going to keep reminding me of everything that I've been trying to forget. So, tough luck. But I don't think I'm going to be helping them with this because, after all, it's not my responsibility to make sure that the rest of the family shows up for my sister and that she doesn't end up looking like a fool. I did not dig this hole for them. I'm not going to get them out of it either. And the fact that they had been reaching out to me for this reason, that she's getting married in a couple of months and she wants the rest of the family to show up so that no awkward questions are asked by her fiancé's family, it is even more insulting. I don't understand why they thought it would be a good idea to share this with me, because it just makes me feel like they were reaching out to me for their own personal gain and nothing else. Everything has to be for their own selfish reasons. Even here, they couldn't just apologize to me because they wanted to, because they were really sorry about everything that had happened. They were reaching out just because there was going to be a wedding in the family, and they wanted it to go well. It's just so insulting for me to even think about it right now. I can't even deal with it. But anyway, I have already mentioned that I have made up my mind about this, and I'm not going back on that. I don't care about the wedding. I don't care about them at all, and I'm going to go ahead on my trip and ignore them for the rest of their days. We are done. I don't even consider them my family anymore. I don't have anything to do with them, and I don't want anything to do with them in the future either. I guess this was pretty much the last straw because until now, I had been feeling like I was being way too hard on them. But now I don't feel like that anymore. I guess for them, it's more important to be thought of as good people by everyone else in the family, rather than actually being good people. I know I'm all over the place right now, but honestly, I am just really annoyed by everything that they have done so far. As if I haven't been through enough already. They feel the need to constantly keep reaching out to me, keep bothering me without caring about how I feel, even though I have made it sufficiently clear that I don't want anything to do with them. It's as selfish as it gets. But then again, that's how they really are, so I'm not surprised by this. Update 5. Okay guys, so I just came back on my trip. I went on a short weekend getaway to the nearby beach with a bunch of my friends, and I had a lot of fun. It was a good distraction from everything that I've been going through, and they really supported me while I was sharing with them whatever I was going through. So that was really nice. But even that was not completely interruption-free because the day before we were supposed to come back, my nanny called me up and she told me that my parents had come to visit me. My nanny has been with me ever since my daughter was a child. Because, obviously, being a single mom, it would be almost impossible for me to survive without her. Not just because I would need to go out, but also because I had work. I would sometimes need to go away on work assignments as well. And I knew that I couldn't always rely on my friends to help me out because they had their jobs and lives as well. So, my nanny has pretty much been a part of my little family, and she knows everything about my problems, including my relationship with my parents. And thankfully, that's why she was wise enough not to open the door when she realized that it was my parents standing outside. She only called me up after they had left just to inform me, and I was very glad that she had the wherewithal to deal with the situation appropriately. Basically, she did exactly what I would have suggested to her without even me having to tell her. And we also got lucky because my daughter stayed quiet when her nanny asked her to, because otherwise she would have given it away, and my parents would have known that I was avoiding them. Anyway, this was the phone call that I received a day before I was supposed to come back home. And even though everything was fine, no real damage was done because my daughter did not end up meeting her grandparents, I still made up my mind that I was going to move. I don't know how they found out where I stay, but I'm not interested in staying there anymore. I've already started speaking to my realtor, and I'm going to look for a place closer to my friends, because right now I live in a pretty isolated neighborhood. Anyway, I'm just glad that I did not have to interact with them directly, because I don't think I would have wanted that. And going away on this trip really brought a lot of clarity to me. I realized that I was letting them have a lot of control over my life inadvertently, even though I had no intention of doing so. But automatically, the only way to deal with this is by just not caring. I don't have to read their emails. I don't have to think about them. I just don't have to do any of that. So that's what I'm going to implement in my life now. Update 6. Hi. So, it's been a few weeks since my last update, and right now I'm posting this from my new house. It's in a better location, closer to my friends, and it's more convenient for my nanny as well as for her commute. It's pretty perfect for me because it's not that far off from my workplace, And in short, I think I got really lucky. I guess it was a great decision to make the move after all. Anyway, enough about me. For the past few weeks, I have been implementing whatever I spoke about in my last update. I've been actively trying not to think about my family. I've been ignoring all their emails. I've not even been reading them, and they keep sending it. But it just doesn't make a difference anymore. I did hear from a couple of my relatives that they received invitations to her engagement party, but I don't think anybody's going to show up. So that's going to be a bummer for them. But honestly, they did this to themselves. I really wish things could have turned out differently, at least with my siblings, because with them, I actually had a better relationship as compared to my parents. But then, life doesn't always work out the way that we wanted to, and I think I'm fine with that now. At least whatever happened to me, it happened for the best, because I have my daughter, I have my friends, and I have a good job, and I have people who love me and who I can count on. So I think that's good enough for me.